Okay, good evening, everybody, and thank you for taking the time to join us tonight for the King's Festival briefing. Just do a quick introduction to myself, and then I'll introduce the two others that are going to be speaking tonight. My name is Joe Skinner. I'm the Chief Cricket Officer for Cornwall Cricket, for those of you who don't know, and I obviously head up and work very closely with Chris Hunlin and Jane Law, who's on the call tonight. To sort of give you the information around King's Festival from a practical perspective, but also from a safeguarding perspective. So just very, very quickly, for me, it's exciting times. We're going back to King's for the first time for a very, very long time, which is very exciting. So historically, Cornwall Cricket has been, Cornwall Schools Cricket Association, our county age group programme has been sort of represented at the the King's Festival for a very long time, which obviously due to COVID has sort of fallen away, but we're back now, which is really exciting. As I said, it's a great opportunity for youngsters to develop in an intensive environment, and that's what I took out of being a coach manager at that time. It was a really pleasing journey to see people attend the first day and play and compete against some good opposition, to then come out at the other end. They are cricketers as a consequence of being there. So that is why I think it's a valuable asset to Cornwall Cricket being part of. So I'm gonna leave it there. Hopefully you enjoy it. What I would say, that if anyone's got any questions at any stage, please put it in the chat box, and then if we answer it, fantastic. If we don't answer it, we'll take those questions away, and we'll feedback to you on block with a sort of a frequently asked questions email or document, rather than soaking up lots of time within this call to answer those. So yeah, if you've got any questions, chuck it in the chat box, which is, you should be able to find that at the bottom of your screen. Click on that, input the information, input the question, and we'll take it away and we'll answer it. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Jane Law. Jane is our safeguarding officer, so Cornwall safeguarding officer, has been in post now for a few months, which is a really good sort of I can hear myself back here. A really good appointment for Cornwall Cricket. She's doing a sterling job in terms of making sure that cricket is safe. So I'm going to hand over to her now to feedback and to give you some pointers around safeguarding and Kings. Jane.
Thanks, Joe. Can you stick up a couple of slides I've got there, and then I'll just frame it around that. So whilst the slides are coming up, as Joe said, my name's Jane. I joined Cornwall Cricket about 6 months ago. I have a long background in schools, so lots of practical safeguarding experience, and lots of charity roles as well, where I've interacted on a safeguarding basis with lots of different organisations. I work 3 days a week for Cornwall Cricket, and the other 2 days a week I teach music in schools. So that's me. I've met some of you, young people, parents and coaches. Met everybody yet. So tonight's a really good opportunity to make contact with a few more people, and hopefully over time I'll be able to get along and meet everybody in person. When I have come along to development days and I've met people, quite a few parents do come up to me and say, are you here because there's a safeguarding concern, or are you here because there's an issue? And the answer generally is that no, I'm not. And to make, to start to build those relationships, so that if there were to be anything you felt you needed to share with me, or I needed to take action about, that you know who I am and you feel comfortable coming to me. And that applies to young people as well as parents. It's really important that we build that relationship. So Joe, if you go down, we're probably about 3 slides down by now. The one where it's there. Okay, so my role, there are 2 specific sides to my role, and my role is set up to mirror how the ECB do safeguarding. There's the reactive side, which is obviously me dealing with concerns and issues that are raised by young people, by parents, by clubs, by players, by spectators, by anybody involved with cricket, and dealing with those appropriately, confidentially, sharing information only where necessary, and so on. And there's the proactive side of my job, which has been reviewing policies, doing briefings like this, thinking about risk, thinking about what we need to do to make things like King's an exciting and enjoyable experience, as it should be. So Joe, if you go on to the next one, just to explain, I think all of you will have really good relationships within your clubs. And when you are playing club cricket, your youngsters are playing club cricket, you're probably naturally going to go to your club setup, be it your club welfare, your club safeguarding officer, your coach there, or someone around your club if you have any concerns. That's a really natural thing for you to do. Actually, I'm here in the background and I'm available if you did want to come to me, if you wanted to step outside that setting to have that conversation or raise that concern. That's what I'm here for. But really, I think more I step in this scenario when you are representing representing Cornwall, you're pulling the shirt on with the chuff on your chest, then at that point you've stepped outside your club and you are more in the setup where, Chris might be your person, your county age group coach might be your person, and from a safeguarding side, I'm very much your person there. So those aren't relationships that are set in stone. By all means, come to me at any time, but I've put my email and my phone number at the end of the slides. And as I say, any concerns at all, pick up the phone and get in touch with me. Plenty of people have already done so. So, don't worry that you'll be the first if you do. Okay, Joe, can we move on to the next one? So the proactive side of my role, this is a really exciting opportunity for you as young cricketers and for parents to think about going outside the county, going away on an exciting residential trip, cricket festival, playing lots of cricket. And my role, I guess, is to think about things that might go wrong or might cause people concern. It might be a long time since youngsters have been away from their families overnight or for a period of time. And so we have spent time behind the scenes just thinking about what might happen. And we've talked through quite a lot of this. What we have done first and foremost is we've put together a fairly comprehensive risk assessment, which we're going to put up on the website. I think Chris just needs to sign it first as the lead coach on this. I'm not sure if that's been done yet, but we'll get Chris to sign it and we'll get that put up on the website. It's split into 3 main sections. There's general and ways to mitigate it. There's cricketing risks specific to stuff that's going to happen on the pitch, most of the fun stuff you'll be doing during the day. And then there's a section around accommodation and how things will happen in the evenings. I know that Chris, when he comes on to talk, is going to talk about expectations in terms of behaviour and how some of that will work on a practical basis. I would encourage you to have a look through the risk assessment and look at the stuff that we've identified that might or might not happen and what we've put in place to mitigate that. COVID specifically could still be a concern, and I understand that everyone has had a statement from Kings in terms of what the policy will be and what actions are required on that. Again, any questions on that, come back to us. We'll probably be able to help with that. We're obviously getting together now and we're recording this briefing for people who can't be with us now. So you've got the time from now until you go. If you've got any questions at all, please don't be shy to come forward. One of the things that's really important to me from a safeguarding point of view is that every group of youngsters that's going is going with coaches who they know from having regular sessions, regular coaching, and they've built up relationships of trust over time. And I would really like to think that as young cricketers, you would naturally feel you could share any concerns you have with one of those people who's there with you. Whatever it may be, they will deal with concerns, in a caring, compassionate way, and they will be professional about that. On top of that, for those of you who haven't had the privilege of going to King's before, then I can absolutely assure you that it is a swept up professional setup. And hopefully you will be as impressed as we are by what's on offer there and how experienced and professional they are. The new team leading the festival this year, headed up by Keith Parsons. And, certainly, we have a great deal of confidence that when you get there, things will be run extremely well. As it stands, I won't be there at any point during any of the weeks, but if things change and I'm required to be there, then I will be. But I'm certainly here as a backup and I'm always on the end of my phone if you need me. So the next slide just, I think, gives you my contact details. And I think just to finish off by saying, if you have a question that you don't feel comfortable to put in the group chat, or, you've got concerns on the perhaps the more pastoral side, you know, and it can be anything. I've already had people raise concerns around bathroom arrangements or food or, you know, any of that stuff. Then please reach out before you go and we can just allay fears. And, you know, genuinely, we want everyone to feel as excited about this as we do. And so I think without further ado, I'll hand over to Chris Hunlin, who gets to talk about the cricket, which is really what we're all here for.
Thank you, Jane. Much appreciated. Yeah, so I'm not just going to talk about cricket. I'm going to talk about hopefully the whole experience, because I think it's really important people kind of understand what's on offer and what to prepare for as such. I think if you talk to any players that have been to Kings as players in previous years, it will be something that sticks out in their mind as a very, very positive memory. The camaraderie that squads come out of that week with is they come out with a fairly close bond between them. So socially and friendship wise, it's a really big time for young players, and they will bond and will kind of grow together in that week. They'll grow their confidence in lots of ways. The experience, everybody will remember it in different ways. From some will remember the cricket, some will remember the leisure activities like going swimming together in the evenings. Pretty much everybody remembers it for the food. Most people come out of that week weighing far more than they did going into the week. The food is something of legend at Kings, so hopefully the last 2 years hasn't changed that. But I could pretty much almost guarantee that every player will come away with a smile on their face and some pretty decent memories of what they've experienced. I think, you know, Jane's exactly right to go through the safeguarding kind of procedures and the things that we've looked at for that, and that's obviously vitally important. In terms of the overnight stuff, I think it's important to say that you know, players, young people, it might be for some of them their first time they've stayed away from family, stayed away from home in some cases, and there will be a level of anxiety and nervousness among certain individuals. That's fine, but I'm very, very confident that within a very short space of time, those anxieties and that nervousness will disappear and turn into good memories, as I said. So by the time they get to Friday, on the end of the day on the Friday, and they're ready to get into the car and go home, they will, I'm sure, will have had a really, really positive experience. I'm really confident of that. The accommodation is important to say that our squads, just like all the other squads, will be in sort of self-contained dormitories. So there will be a number of rooms in an area that will be contained from other counties, other teams. In many cases, in different blocks of buildings. The players will be in rooms that will be close to the coaching staff that will be there with them. And the coaching staff, one of the first things the coaching staff will do when they get there is to make sure that everybody's aware of which rooms the coaching staff are in, so that if any players have any issues overnight, they will know exactly where to go and know exactly what door to knock on, if there is anything like that. I've been there in previous years when a player had a sickness bug, or I think it might have been a little bit of heat stroke, and he was a little bit sick, and his roommate came and knocked on our doors, and we sorted it out really, really quickly, no problems at all. So I don't think there's huge amounts to be worried about. Like I said, I'm aware that there will be certain anxieties, but I think they will disappear fairly quickly. When players get on site, one of the first things they will do will be to be shown to their rooms and dormitories, and get comfortable within those and with the people that they're sharing with. Generally, the rooms are sharing anything between 2 to 4 or 5 in a room, and that's generally based on kind of friendship groups and making sure that people are comfortable in those rooms. Once they've done that on the first night, then they'll kind of get acclimatized there and then go to dinner on the first night before doing probably a bit of a team meeting and a little bit of an activity on the first evening. One thing I will be pushing a lot with our coaches, having experienced the King's experience a few times, is ensuring that our players have managed their energy levels through the week. One thing that does happen at the start of a King's week is there's lots of excitement, there's lots of nervous energy, and it is so important that that's managed really carefully. And if anything, our coaches will be trying to keep a lid on it for the first couple of days. The reason for that is just because, and it is a long week of cricket, 5 days in a row is a lot, and although there won't be any players that play all 5 days, everyone will get at least a rest day. It is a tough week, and actually being able to perform on the Thursday and Friday is half the trick of Kings, of getting through the week. So having consistent energy levels all the way through, rather than being kind of high as a kite on a Monday and a Tuesday and really low on the Thursday and Friday as such. For the boys, obviously the under 13 girls are going, and they've got a slightly shorter week. They've got a 3-day festival, but even then, that's still hard going. All right. There is a tuck shop on site where players can kind of purchase items of confectionery, shall we say. Again, generally in the past, that's something we've tried to keep a lid on, again, to manage the energy levels through the week, so that there's not massive peaks and dips of energy, which when it happens usually means that people are flat out on their feet by sort of middle of the week or end of the week. So making sure they're eating and drinking the right things all through the week will be something that our coaches will be trying to keep a lid on and keep monitoring. All the other things around the well-being of the players, including kind of what they're doing in the sun, what they're eating, what they're drinking, how much they're sleeping, will be something, again, that our coaches will be trying to keep a real tight kind of observation of, to make sure that players, again, do have energy come the end of the week. After every day follows a similar pattern in terms of get up, get changed, go to breakfast, come back from breakfast, get themselves sorted in terms of cleaning teeth, etc., and then going down to the pitch for warm-ups on the pitch that they're playing on that day. Play the game of cricket, where they will have a split in the day for lunch, where they'll go up to the main dining hall again. They will have a small cricket tea during that. Then when they finish the game, they will likely go back to their rooms, get showered, changed, etc. Then go to dinner again in the evening. And then after dinner will be activities. There are activities on offer, such as swimming and things like that. One thing to make clear is that generally as a county, what we try and do is make sure that everybody does the same activity at the same time. So we won't have lots of players split up all over the place. Everybody will come together. If everyone goes swimming, if people want to go swimming, everyone will go swimming at the same time. It's not to say that every player has to go swimming, but if they don't want to go swimming, they will sort of sit on the side and watch while others go swimming. Coaching staff will always be present with them when they go swimming and stuff, plus Kings provide lifeguards for them. In terms of, I've mentioned a few times about coaches kind of looking after the well-being of the players. One thing I would say is that when players get dropped off, for the boys it'll be the Sunday evenings, for the girls it'll be the Wednesday evening. When they get dropped off on site and they're kind of handed over to the coaches, and the coaches take them up to their rooms and stuff, the coaches will then have full responsibility for them for the whole week. Players won't be kind of able to go off site with their parents or whatever if they're not playing on that day. They will be expected to stay on site with the rest of the squad. So it will be the squad will stay together for the whole week. And then when there's generally a presentation at the end of the day on the Friday after the last games have finished. Once that is finished, coaches will make sure that players are going off with their relevant adults or parents or guardians at that point. But up until that point, they will be in the care of the coaches. The only time that will ever change is if there's any kind of illness, injury, sickness, etc., COVID, where a player might have to move off site for a period of time, for example. If that's the case for any reason, our coaches will be calling the parents and asking them to come and collect them. The only other thing to mention, I think, briefly is kind of behaviour, and the only reason I say that, because I think we're incredibly lucky with the group of youngsters we have involved with us in cricket in Cornwall. As far as I'm aware, we've got a brilliant bunch of young people, and we're very lucky to be working with those players. We have a really, really good reputation at Kings. Not every county has done so in the past, but we have a very good reputation at Kings, and that goes back a long way. Reputations take a long time to form, but can be very quickly broken. So something our coaches will be hot on, will be making sure the behaviours of the group are, and all the players in the group are, tip top and what we would expect of representing a Cornwall team. Like I said, that reputation goes back a long way, and it's really important we uphold that. On our Cornwall Cricket website, I can very quickly show a segment of it. On our policy segment, there is a code of conduct. So if in any doubt around any of that, then have a look through that and make sure that parents, you're doing what you're doing, what you need to do. Players, you're doing what you need to do. Coaches, we need to do what we need to do, and just make sure that everybody's upholding those things. The other thing that I was going to mention is there is a West Cricket Festival's website where it currently has all the fixtures and stuff on there, but obviously on the drop-down list on the left-hand side, there is an awful lot of information down there regarding that. So if you want to find out any more about it, there's obviously the contact of Keith Parsons up there in the corner, where Jay mentioned that he's now the festival organizer. So if you need to know anything specifically about the festival, then feel free to look at that. I say a big thank you to everyone that's replied back to me with dietary forms and photography forms, etc. I apologize if I haven't replied to you. We're kind of just starting to get into silly season, so I thank you for them. I have got an admin day tomorrow, so I'll if I haven't replied and what you've sent does need a reply, then I'll hopefully get back to you tomorrow. What I think that is about all. I think there's only one question in the chat box. which is, are parents encouraged to spectate? Thank you for that, Andy. Yeah, basically the week is completely open to all spectators. So it's generally a very, very busy week at King's, where there's lots and lots of parents on site, so parents from all the teams of all the counties and stuff. Generally, lots of them will be there. It's not to say you have to be there. You don't have to be there at all, but it is completely open to spectators. I think parents, spectators can also purchase lunches and stuff like that there. Justine Paula, just a question: do white trousers need to be branded Cornwall Cricket? No, absolutely not. Don't have to be. If you've got them, brilliant. If not, don't worry at all. Any whites will do. Will do. As I put in the emails before, that there is a really good laundry service on site where players can just put their dirty whites and dirty kit from day one into there. Into the laundry, and it will come back again clean during the next day. So they will need at least 2 clean sets. So, you know, when one set's dirty and being washed, they can wear their second set, and by the time their second set goes into the wash, their first set will be back again. So that's all good. I'm just going to quickly look at the questions coming up. Joe, can you think of anything else that needs to be said?
No, not at this moment in time. It's fairly comprehensive. So well done for that. The couple of questions we've got is general arrival time on the Sunday.
Yeah, so before that, from Louise, what time is pickup on Friday? So generally, I couldn't say exactly because it's fundamentally there's 6 games. There's 6 games on site every day. So that's 12 teams, and it's fundamentally when all the games have finished on the Friday. Generally, they try and finish in previous festivals. They've tried to finish a little bit earlier on the Friday, so around about 4:30 to 4:45. So that then they can do the presentations, which is generally done by 5, 4:15 to 5:30. But generally it's all well done and dusted before 6 o'clock. That's in previous years. Obviously it's a different regime in terms of different people running it now. So, you know, don't quote me on that and shoot me down if it's a bit earlier or a bit later, but that's generally the order of arrival. Of finish on a Friday. Arrival on the Sunday is generally between 4 and 6 o'clock. I will need to double check to see if it's in the it's in the pack, but it's generally between 4 and 6 o'clock on the arrival day. So for the boys, that's the Sunday. For the girls, that's the Wednesday. Andy, will all the players receive something at the presentation to mark the event? That's a very good question. Joe, can you remember that?
I think when I was there previously, the answer to that was yes, they got a little plaque.
Yes.
So yeah, again, it's a change of regime, and we don't know how they're necessarily going to operate. Historically, though, I believe that there were small little plaques provided to each player as a memento of the occasion. Yeah,
I do. And the other question there, with the girls, will they have a rest day or will they play all their games? The girls have got will have 13 players with them to go over the 3 games, the 3 days, sorry. One of the days will be two T20s. So the girls will likely play, they will definitely play 2 days. In some cases, they might play 2.5 days, depending on when they have their rest game. So with the girls, it's more like, well, if you think of it in terms of rest games, generally everybody will rest a game, whether it be a 3-day festival or a 5-day festival. So that's generally the case. Thank you, Gemma. Used to have a little festival trophy each year and age group on it. Thank you for that. So yes, if I'm honest, I couldn't remember exactly, but yeah, as Joe and Gemma have said, there's generally a little plaque.
Thanks. Can I add a couple of things, please?
Absolutely.
As you've been talking, it's just jogged my memory. I think that the philosophy of Kings historically, again, has always tried to get cricket played, irrespective of the weather. So, for example, if it's been fairly wet overnight, they always try and get some cricket in during the day. So it might scale back from, for argument's sake, 40 overs all the way down to 10 overs. But if they get 10 overs in the day, then they will. Sometimes you think, crikey me, that potentially shouldn't be played. It's very, very wet. But actually, you know, the groundskeepers that they have at Kings, and that they know their ground best, and we go by their decision. But fundamentally, they try and get as much cricket played as they possibly can. And the second one was around spectators and parents attending. And I think it was in the communication sent out from Kings, but parents have the ability to put on a little poundage here or there and partake in that food as well, I believe. So, just to reiterate, yes, spectators are welcome, and you can buy those vouchers from the tuck shop, which then enable you to go and have your 3-course meal or your cooked breakfast, etc., etc. So take advantage.
Spot on. Thank you. I think we've covered most things. Just one more question coming out. Yes. Thank you. I think that's Joff. We will discuss that in the with the age group. So obviously this is going out to all the age groups, Joff. So we'll share that with your age group and Justin in particular. All right. But I think that's hopefully a lot of things covered. What I would say is, if you've got any real kind of anxieties about anything, then obviously do contact any one of us about it, and we'll obviously try and do what we can to put minds at rest. But like I said at the start, I can almost guarantee that it'll be a positive experience. I think that's all from me.
That's all from me. I think that's all from Jane.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time and listening. Enjoy.
Yeah, cheers, everyone. Have lots of fun.
Thank you. Well done. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Stop the record now, I reckon, Joe.